Hello everybody, I'm your friendly neighborhood Let's Player SpiderMwa, and I welcome you back to Let's Play Gabriel Night. As we left off, I did a lot of stuff and I found out where Mosley is and the crime scene is. So how about we start going there? But first, there's still a few good things we can do around here in the French Quarter. We can go to the cathedral. As soon as we go to the cathedral, we actually could walk from the square to the cathedral here. But it's just a church. The chancel of St. Louis Cathedral consists of a raised dais, an altar, 2 pedestals, and a choir area. Actually, it might be St. Louis, because it's French, after all. Flags of the world are displayed from the upper story. A promotion of universal harmony, no doubt. At least the cherubs are an aesthetic way of asking for donations. Yeah, I'd say so. St. Louis Cathedral has a beautiful chapel, warm with tones of gold and cream, and rich with delicate frescoes and meticulously carved wood. Cool. That door must lead to the priest's side of the confessionals. Curtained confessionals are a subtle, old-fashioned presence on the left of the nave. I wonder if we can actually use it. You can go talk to the priest and confess your sins and go to the confessional, pretty much. I've never got. We don't have that thing here in Finland because we don't have that part of the religion. We are a different kind of Christianity religion, you would say. But I don't. May I help you, my child? Could you give me a blessing? Do you feel the need for a blessing, son? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Alright, if it will comfort you. The priest blesses Gabriel through the confessional window. Peace be with you, son. Thank you, Father. You wouldn't think that Gabriel is a very religious guy, but in this area, I guess they are. I wouldn't know. New Orleans is a very interesting place, at least if I ever went to America, that's one of the towns or one of the cities I would like to go to. New Orleans, when I experience that place at least. Get all the gumbo and all that stuff. And the other place that we didn't go to, there's the Overlook, and then also the Napoleon House. So let us go to the Overlook first. Let's see what we can find here. St. Louis Cathedral. The original church on the site was built in 1724 and was named for Louis IX of France. That church burned in the Great Fire of 1788. The present church dates from 1851. Took them almost 70 years to build a new one there. In the distance you can hear the Jackson Square people. Gabriel is standing on the balcony of a building across the street from Jackson Square. On the balcony are 4 mounted binoculars. 4 pairs of binoculars are rigorously mounted on the cement floor. Nice plant. The Pentalba buildings are historical landmarks, built in 1849 and 1850 as residential apartments. The Presbytere. This building was begun by the Spaniards in 1795 after a fire in Jackson Square. It was intended for monks but now houses historical exhibits. Usually that happens with old houses. They turn into museums eventually. It's been overcast all week. The air has been moody and thick. Strange weather for June. Not here. Here can be very weird weather sometimes. Summers are hot, though. They can be very hot. So, can I operate one of these? We can see this Jackson Square. Ain't nothing happening there. How about this part? Eventually, we'll have to come here to take a look and see something very unique happening. I don't know if it happens yet. It shouldn't happen yet. It should be later in the game. Well, there's the mime. Still harassing people, as always. And this should be the last part of the Jackson Square. Kind of interesting that all of these mounted binoculars are showing you Jackson Square, nothing else. So Napoleon House. Let's see if we can find anything interesting in this area. There's another drummer. A street drummer has found a spot outside the Napoleon House. Interesting. The Napoleon House is one of the French Quarter's very old, very classic neighborhood bars and restaurants. Gabriel is found here frequently. Well, it's a very classy looking place. They've got a very classy bartender here. It's a bust of Napoleon. How apropos. A small table, recently deserted, holds the remains of someone's drink. Fancy old liquor bottles contribute to the general decor. A chandelier casts a dim glow over the room. Several fine old oils line the walls of the bar. Come on, I'm growing fungus already. Shut up, you are a fungus. That tabletop has an inlaid chessboard. Ah, they're playing chess. A man in a loud tie stares morosely at a chessboard. A sharp-eyed gentleman in a grey sports coat hunches over a chessboard, chuckling to himself. A young man is deep into conversation with his girlfriend and feeling no pain. An unhappy-looking man explores the dangers of drinking alone. Gabriel and the bartender are old pals. His name is Stonewall King, and he knows everybody around here. Stonewall King. That's a cool name, just like Gabriel Knight. Knight and King. A bar is a 19th century antique in lovingly polished walnut. The bar is stuff. I guess that's all we can look at. A young woman is enjoying drinks with her boyfriend. Kind of cute. Nah. What's up? Buddy, I think the place you're looking for is down on Bourbon. He wasn't really hitting on him. Although you don't know about Gabriel, but he's into the ladies. Fully on to the ladies, I'll have to say. Nothing like a good game of chess, huh? This isn't a good game, this is torture. Oh, well, have fun. With all the people in this bar, Gabriel wants to talk to that. Not really. Hi, how's it going? It's been worse. Let's talk to Stonewall. Could I ask you a few questions? Sure, I'm not too busy at the moment. What can you tell me about voodoo? Some people do believe, though. Even some of the old regulars here at the Napoleon House. I'm no expert, you might want to talk to someone who believes in it. What do you know about the voodoo murders? It's all over the papers. Some kind of serial killings. What can you tell me about New Orleans? Greatest city in the world. I'd never want to live anywhere else. What's the significance of St. John's Eve? All I know is it's some kind of voodoo holiday. Does the phrase Capri Sancour mean anything to you? You know what goes in it? I don't think it's a drink. Oh, then I probably don't know anything about it. How witty. Tell me about yourself. A good bartender listens to other people's life stories without telling his own. That's usually how it works. What can you tell me about your regulars in here? This crowd? The ones you see are mostly regulars. That guy and girl in the corner come here a lot. When they're not fighting, they're all over each other. In other words, they're in love. What can you tell me about your regulars in here? See those old guys at the chess table? That's Sam and Marcus. They played there every day for 20 years. Quite a long time. Sam, the one with the purple jacket, he's lost every one of those games. It's not that he's a bad player. I've seen him beat guys twice as good as Marcus, but Marcus has Sam so psyched out he loses his nerve every time. By the way, Sam, the chess player, he's into that voodoo stuff. He's always talking about spells and gree and stuff. Really? Thanks. So what has Sam told you about voodoo? Well, about 50 years ago, Sam was too shy to talk to this pretty girl he was in love with. He went to a voodoo inn and had her make him a love charm. It was a little pouch that he had to bury under the girl's front porch. Well, he buried the pouch, and the next day he went up and talked to the girl, and sure enough, she didn't reject him. Now she's his wife. Poor guy. Tell me about the street musicians around here. I like music as much as the next guy, but they get pretty monotonous sometimes, you know? I like the drummer right outside. They say there's been a drummer outside Napoleon House since the day it opened. I like drums, but this character really gets on my nerves. It sounds like the same thing over and over. I just want to say enough already. Sounds like my life. That was very invigorating of a chat, wasn't it? Well, let's talk to the Sam character. Maybe he has something to tell us about. Excuse me, I hate to interrupt your game, but could I ask you a few questions? What game? This isn't a game, it's a slaughter! He's right, you know, so let me die in peace, would ya? But I want to ask you about voodoo. Sorry to bother you, could I ask you a few questions? I'm not the chatty type, am I, Sam? No, you old bastard, you're not. Besides, I'm busy sucking poor old Sam dry. Go bug someone else. You're a real sweetheart, Marcus, you bastard. Are you sure I can't bother you with a few questions? Mister, please, I'm trying to turn this game around. Yeah, right. Got a crowbar? Shut up, you bastard. Well, I guess we're not gonna be talking to him anytime soon. Maybe we need to get some kind of a charm or something to give to him, so he'll play a lot better next time. I got a feeling we gotta do that. Maybe we could go to talk to somebody, maybe the Dixieland drugstore can help us about that. This is another puzzle that you need to solve. Hi. Uh-huh. So this is a voodoo store, huh? Voodoo? No man, this is a curio shop. The things you see here are from the local folklore. None of it's real, I tell you for sure. Can't remember the voice I gave to him. Sorry. I don't think I can ask from him any kind of charms, because it's supposed to be a novelty shop and nothing else. To New Orleans map we go. Now I can go to the crime scene or talk to Gran first. I think I will go to the grandma first, because she's so nice. She's lovely. Oh god, the voice.
Gabriel, I'm so glad you stopped by.
Man, you move slow. Sorry, it's been a while, Grandma.
Not at all. Give us a kiss. Give us a kiss. Now come and sit down. Tell me how you're doing.
Let's take a look around. On the wall are portraits of Gran and Gramps when they were young. Gabriel's inherited some good-looking genes. Gabriel grew up in this room. Just being here makes him feel safe, and after about 5 minutes, claustrophobic. Gran's knitting. She whips through that stuff like there was no tomorrow. The wood in the bin is southern pine, and is probably fossilized by now. Grandmother Knight rarely uses the fireplace these days. Too much of a hassle to clean. Mostly pictures of Gabriel, his dad, and Harrison Knight. Harrison Knight is Gabriel's uncle, if I'm not mistaken. Gran has a way with plants and kids. Fresh carnations, Granny's favorite. Granny likes soft lighting. Mostly pictures of Gabriel, his dad, and Harrison Ford. Yeah, Harrison Ford, yeah. The sofa has a warm plued chintz pattern that Gabriel remembers fondly. Granny's side chair still has that annoying loose spring in the seat. Why don't you fix it then? The stairs lead up to the attic. The clock hasn't been in the Wright family, Granny's family, for centuries. How have you been, Gran?
Just fine, dear. I'm sorry I bothered you at work, but I was hoping you'd get a chance to go through your father's things in the attic.
Don't be silly. You can call me anytime. Done anything interesting lately?
I raised you.
Lately, Gran.
Oh, you know me, Gabriel. I always got my nose poked in something.
It must run in the family. You're looking well, Gran.
Thanks, dear.
Nice weather.
Oh, Gabriel, please. It's been just awful. Muggiest summer of my life.
Can we talk, Gran?
Of course, my boy. How can I help?
Tell me about yourself.
Me? Surely you have something more interesting to talk about.
Oh, come on, Gran.
All right, dear. What do you want to hear?
What do you do all day?
You know how I love to knit and work in my garden. I also take long walks. It's the only way to keep an old body like mine from stiffening up.
You're not old.
Don't be foolish, I'm older than the hills.
Tell me about before you met Granddaddy.
Well, you know I was born Rebecca Wright. My daddy owned a lot of land outside of town. We grew peas, corn, cotton, all kinds of things. It was a good childhood, but my father was very strict. He didn't let me out of his sight.
Tell me how you met Granddaddy.
I met Harrison at a church revival. There was a traveling preacher back then, a big fella named Reverend Jim. I even remember his slogan, "Come to me to find your way." Your granddad was sitting right behind me and my girlfriend Alma, and at one point old Reverend Jim was flinging his hair around with his fire and brimstone antics. And a piece of it, one of those small add-on dues for men, went flying off. I swear Harris and I were the only ones that noticed. We both started laughing to beat the band. Everyone looked at us like we were a couple of loonies. It was then I knew that he was for me.
Aww. How lovely of them meeting like that. Love at first laugh, I guess. How are you feeling these days?
Fit as a fiddle, and don't you worry your head about it.
Just tell me anything at all.
I had your father when I was 22. The doctors told me I couldn't have any more after him, so I'm afraid I spoiled him rotten.
Just tell me anything at all.
I never loved any man but your grandfather, and I never will. I hate to admit it, but I was a jealous little thing when your granddaddy and I were younger. I loved him so ferociously, and he did attract the eyes of the ladies, whether he wanted to or not. I get lonely sometimes, but I have lots of girlfriends in the neighborhood. I call one of them if I'm feeling blue. I wish you'd settle down and give me a great-grandchild.
Oh, Gran. Okay, that's all of that. Oh, nothing. Never mind.
All right, dear.
You know, you get prettier every time I see you.
Oh, you.
Tell me about our family.
Who would you like to hear about? Your granddad, your father, or your mother?
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad immigrated to America when he was 21. He worked his way through school, met and married me, and we had your father, Philip.
Tell me something about Granddad.
Your granddad supported me and your father with bookkeeping. I'll tell you what, though, he hated every minute of it. Didn't really like bookkeeping one bit. Maybe that was why he had the worst luck with jobs. Oh, the nights he'd come home afraid to tell me he'd lost another, and I would tell him it didn't matter to me, but he felt ashamed, Gabriel. Harrison was only 36 when he died. Your father was 8 years old at the time. Your granddad was hit by a streetcar in the business district. It took me nearly a year to believe he was really gone.
I'm sorry, Gran.
I know you are, dear. Did you know that your granddad was a poet? He was! He wrote the most beautiful poetry for me when we were courting. I always thought he should have done something with that gift, but he was such a practical man. Didn't believe in chasing after dreams.
Unlike us, we're chasing a dream of writing the best voodoo book ever.
I don't know what else to tell you, dear.
Tell me about my father.
Your father was my only child. How we adored him. Philip suffered from terrible nightmares, just like your granddad did. They were two peas in a pod.
Yeah, we don't suffer from nightmares at all. Tell me about my father.
When Philip met your mother, it was love at first sight. They were married 2 weeks later. Never looked at a girl seriously until then, and he'd looked at plenty. You have your father's way with women, Gabriel, and your granddad's.
Blush.
I wanted to just lay down and die when he and your mother were killed in that car crash when you were only 8. It was the thought of carrying of you that kept me going, Gabriel. The police say your father swerved off the road after being frightened by something. Perhaps a deer in the road, or a wild cat.
So, his grandfather died when his father was 8, and then his own father died when he was 8. I see a pattern in this. Something weird happening.
Your granddad wanted Philip to have a normal life. He was obsessed by that thought. He pushed Philip to go to law school, but Philip was driven to art. He painted almost in a daze. He would get so inside himself when he worked. He always hated that it was Margaret's money that supported the three of you when his painting couldn't. I kept telling him, try something more cheerful, like a landscape or two, but he couldn't do it. His work was just too dark and disturbing for the public, you know.
Yeah, we know. Skulls and snakes. Tell me about my mother.
Your mother was Margaret Templeton when your mother met her. She came from a very wealthy Creole family in New Orleans. She was beautiful and reckless. She was madly in love with your father, of course, but I also think she liked defying her family. Since you're so interested in family history these days, why don't you go to Saint Louis Cemetery No. 1 and visit the family tomb? It would be a sweet gesture.
Maybe I will. Tell me about my mother.
Your mother's family refused to give her money after the marriage. All she had left was a modest trust fund from her great aunt, who happened to like Philip. The remainder of your mother's trust fund became yours when she died. That's why you used to open your bookshop. The Templetons are all gone now, every last one of them. They never wanted anything to do with us, of course. What a waste.
Have you baked any of your incredible molasses pies lately?
No, dear, but you let me know when you want some and I'll whip up half a dozen.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Voodoo? What an odd question, Gabriel. Of course, you always were interested in monster movies.
Skipped it, sorry.
But you don't hear so much about it these days. Too much else in the world to worry about, I guess.
Sorry for skipping the line. A mishap in clicking. It happens, you know, when you play games. What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Oh, Gabriel! Nothing, and I don't want to. I sometimes wonder what this world is coming to.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? I remember when I was a girl, we always had a St. John's Eve Mass. The Mass was said at midnight, and we held candles. One time, on the way home, we were waylaid by a large group of drunken revelers. They didn't hurt us, but I was frightened. My father was furious. We never went to St. John's Eve Mass after that.
Do you have any idea what Caprice encore means?
Something without something, I think. My French is so rusty. I swear, my mind is going.
It's okay. Thanks. You've lost weight. Are you courting a new man?
Oh, Gabriel, don't be silly. You know there'll never be anyone but your granddad for me.
Okay, that's enough for that. So let's just get out of here. We should go. Actually, we will go upstairs to the attic. I'm going to go up to the attic, Gran.
Be careful of the dust.
Don't you worry, Gran. We'll be careful. She's so nice. I told you she must be nice, but then again, grandmothers usually are. The skylight lets welcome sunlight into the attic. Grandma's attic is a storehouse of forgotten treasures and useless junk. They usually are. That must have been from the year Granddad caught Santa on the roof. Grandma's attic is a storeroom of stuff. These old picture frames have been up here for years. Gabriel has seen these ornaments every year at Christmas for as long as he can remember. It's a lady's hat from the 1920s, or Grand's Virginia Woolf period. It's an old dusty bicycle tire. Grandma's attic is all lots of junk. An elaborate mechanical clock, probably of German origin, is among the discarded treasures of the attic. It doesn't seem to be running at the moment. The brass bed frame is from God knows where. An old velvet curtains have hung in the parlor before Gran lightened the place up. That box of knickknacks has been up here for at least 5 years. It's an old metal tub full of dust and cobwebs. It's Granddad's old golf bag. It's an old dress dummy that Gran had in her sewing room years ago. My first impression of the female form. Should have known that he would say something lewd about it. The old trunk looks like it's gone to hell and back. So let's pick up this clock. Doesn't want to take the clock. How about we move it? Or operate it, apparently. Nothing happens. The ring of the symbols doesn't appear to have any mechanical function, but it does move. The hands don't appear to have any mechanical function other than to move. So how about we move it? There we go. And now we can open this chest. The trunk doesn't operate. This one. There we go. The trunk contains some old clothes, including a pair of leather shorts. Are those called lederhosen? Serious hiking boots, more of Harrison Knight's German books. Just what I need. And a bundle of letters. Love letters between Harrison and Rebecca. there anything we can pick up? I don't think there's anything in a trunk that would interest anybody but my gran. So I guess we're gonna close it. Anything there? Nothing. There's nothing I want in there. Did she say that there would be some stuff from... I think I'll leave that up here. I guess there's nothing for us. How about the golf bags? I think I'll leave that up here. Is there anything else in here that we could do? It looks pretty heavy. I guess there was nothing for us in here. I thought there would be, other than the clock, of course. Oh well. Maybe Gran can tell us about the clock. On how it operates, and what to do with it. You never know. So let's ask her.
That's it. Take a load off, hon.
Can we talk, Gran?
Of course, my boy. How can I help?
Nope. Nothing about that clock. Never mind, Gran. Well, I'm gonna leave the video here. Lots of talking. This is an adventure game, so there's gonna be a lot of talking in it. And next time, we're gonna go to the murder scene. I thought we would be able to get there this time, but that's how it goes when you talk with people. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I hope you all have a good evening, good afternoon, and a good morning, and I will see you all next time. Take care, people. Bye.